Welcome back to This Day in Scottish History. I'm your host, Colin MacDonald, and today we're travelling back to the heart of Africa, to the source of one of the world's greatest rivers, the Blue Nile. On November 14th, 1770, the Scottish explorer James Bruce reached Lake Tana in Ethiopia, one of the primary sources of the Nile. Bruce's arrival marked a remarkable achievement in exploration and is often cited as the first time a European reached this location, though history offers a few intriguing twists to that story. Born in Stirlingshire in 1730, James Bruce was a towering figure in more ways than one, standing over 6 feet 4 inches tall and possessing a relentless drive for discovery. Bruce's early life in Scotland was marked by education at Edinburgh University and Harrow School, followed by a brief stint in the family wine business. However, his true calling came after examining Arabic manuscripts in Spain, sparking his lifelong passion for exploration and study of North Africa and the Middle East. The opportunity for adventure opened up in 1762 when Bruce was appointed British consul to Algiers. During his years there, he familiarized himself with the cultures, languages, and geography of North Africa, skills that would prove invaluable for the journey he was planning, the search for the source of the Nile. In the 18th century, the Nile's origins were a subject of enduring mystery, and expeditions to find its source were grueling, with few attempts resulting in success. In 1768, Bruce set out from Alexandria, Egypt, with the goal of uncovering the Nile's source in Ethiopia. His journey was both daunting and perilous, involving dangerous crossings, close encounters with illness, and often uneasy interactions with local leaders. But in February 1770, after months of harrowing travel, he reached the Ethiopian capital of Gondar, where he was welcomed by Emperor Tekle Haymanot II. Bruce's knowledge of the region, including the Ge'ez language, and his medical skills helped him gain favour among the locals and the emperor, who even granted Bruce an honorary court position. But Bruce's sights were set even higher. After overcoming an intense bout of malaria, Bruce gathered a small team and continued his expedition southward. The final stretch of his journey took him up into the highlands of Ethiopia, where he finally arrived at Lake Tana and the springs at Gisha Bay, the headwaters of the Blue Nile, on November 14th, 1770. There, at nearly 10,000 feet above sea level, Bruce famously filled a coconut shell from the sacred spring and toasted the British King George III, exclaiming his achievement. It is important to note, however, that Bruce wasn't technically the first European to reach the Blue Nile's source. In fact, Spanish Jesuit missionary Pedro Páez had arrived at Lake Tana over 150 years earlier in 1618. Bruce, however, disputed Páez's claim, suggesting that Páez's account was an embellishment. Despite these debates, Bruce's meticulous documentation and drawings left an indelible mark on geographical knowledge, making his journey a defining moment in the European exploration of Africa. Bruce's homecoming to Britain was not the triumphant affair he had expected. Although he published a 5-volume account of his adventures, titled Travels to Discover the Source of the Nile, his tales were met with widespread skepticism. Critics doubted his stories, dismissing them as exaggerations or even outright fabrications. Bruce, offended and disillusioned, retreated to his estate in Kinnaird and largely withdrew from public life. It wasn't until later that the full accuracy and value of Bruce's work were recognised. His observations on the cultures, flora, fauna and geography of the Nile Basin contributed substantially to scientific and geographical knowledge. His travels also inspired other explorers, including members of the British African Association, founded in 1788, to promote exploration in Africa. Bruce's journey to Lake Tana may not have been universally acknowledged in his lifetime, but today he is celebrated as a pioneer. His daring and determination paved the way for future exploration, and his legacy continues to echo across the history of Scottish and African exploration. Thank you for joining me today on This Day in Scottish History. I'm Colin MacDonald. Haste you back, and we'll see you again tomorrow for another chapter in Scotland's remarkable past. Slint am hath.